to our Arts Council meeting. Looks like I don't know if we have a quorum here, but I'd like to start this meeting by, I hope everybody got the email that has the minutes or abbreviated minutes from last meeting. If there's anybody who wants to make a proposal on approving those minutes.
Sure.
We have a proposal.
I propose.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and approve those minutes from our last meeting. If we look on the agenda, the first thing that's listed, I guess before we start, is there anything that's not on this agenda that we need to go about? I guess we can't pass around notes of appreciation, or if there's anything that has come up since then we want to review. If not, we'll go right to our utility box art. I've been around to see the boxes that are already done, and I think they're a great addition to the community, and it would be really nice if we could get some more up there. Do we have an update on that? John, were you still working on that, or is that?
Yeah, so I went around the Arts District area and the city center area and mapped out where we have boxes. I'm sorry I forgot those papers at home. I'm doing this from my work office at the moment, but long story short, it seemed like the rest of the viable art boxes were mainly there around the city center. I sent an email out, and I think Sharon forwarded it, that had some pictures of stuff available for some possible boxes that we could do.
Would you like me to pull those up?
Yeah, that would be great if you could.
Yeah, if it's okay if I share my screen, is that okay with you, Barry?
Sure, absolutely. Wow, a lot of files on that desktop.
I know.
So this is kind of in the southeast part of the city center block there, a little bit south of closer to Center Street, southwest of the senior center. It's by the path that you can walk around. So it's a fairly visible box. And there's actually quite a few boxes right around this area, but this one, it had three sides that didn't have doors, that were facing Center Street, and looked like a good box we could use. This would probably be my first pick for the next box. Now, I just threw up some art in Photoshop on the box. I can't remember the name of the gentleman who did this, but this is the art that we own, I believe.
Smart Smiley art.
Okay. And so this is just some of the art that I had a scan of the original of. This is just some possibilities. This right here is one that's right outside the doors, kind of on the east side of the city building. That would be probably my second choice. This art here was some art that we had of Nathan's. This was an example I came up with about a year ago. This box really is only good from this side. The other side, it looks like a Jenga box or whatever. It just has a lot of different surfaces, but this side here has a nice flat surface that we can work with. Does have some stickers that we'd have to work around, but again, here's just an example, and I think that's an area where people that are coming into the library could still see it, per se. And again, with COVID, I don't know how many people are passing this area, because I don't think you can get into the city center through those doors anymore, but,
Yeah, we're just getting ready to open those doors, but they have to do some renovations at the city center that might, make it challenging for that breezeway area. So we're trying to talk to the facilities staff about, how long we will have the ability to use that area. But definitely it's a significant area. We have people coming to the city center all the time and they would pass that area. One question I have is we've recently installed a really tall piece of art in the south wing of the library that is an astronaut. It's called Library Dreamer. And I don't know if Nate would choose to switch out, this piece for another piece, just so we don't look like we're 100% astronaut all the time, because this other one's very prominent. It's
yeah, this I just used as an example. Nate gave me 2 or 3 different example pieces that, when we were deciding that we'd go with one of the pieces he did, I just picked this one. It's just, again, it's an example. We don't have to use Nate's. We already used Nate's art on the box down there on 800 South and 400 East or West. I can't remember. East, I guess. Anyways, on the south part of the Arts District. So we've used one of Nate's art for. I just use this as an example of the box that I would probably choose second as far as locations go. So maybe we could do another piece of Cass's artwork, maybe even a completely different one.
We do have a number of folks who have expressed interest. So anytime we're ready to launch the applications, if you guys are ready to launch them, we can work to advertise that and probably select just like X number at a time, so that we're not promising people we would use it many quarters or years into the future. So you select maybe 5, maybe 10, depending on interest. But
I'm also interested in seeing, what we can do with those that are teaching in high schools that are part of our group or were recently part of our group, that maybe there's some competition opportunities there for.
Darlene, remind me how many you were going to submit for with the CARES committee for was it 4 or 5, or am I high?
No, I'll probably submit like $10,000 or $20,000 request.
So we're still planning on about 5,000 per box, with the idea of doing 2 or less?
1,000 per box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
One by
gentleman
Michelle is a double-sized box, and that's what John will talk about next. But
well, I didn't send the actual box picture. I should have, but we have. If we look at this one here, with the lady holding the flowers, we have her on the box on the left, and then we were thinking from the discussion that was had last time that we want to do something on the other box next to it, but the box next to it has all sorts of events.
1 second, I just sent it to myself. Let me pull that out.
Okay. And so we were just trying to get something that we could put on there that would just kind of tie in, but that the vents wouldn't break it up too bad. So you can see all the vents there on that one box. It would be kind of hard to put a face anywhere on that right side, just simply because of the vents. But if we just had a colored background with some flowers around, or maybe some elements that could go where the vents are not, maybe smaller fairy aisle figures, I don't know. But the item that was up there just a moment ago was just an example of, bringing the color field over and having some flowers in the area where we wouldn't actually be, where there wouldn't be vents. So the flowers would be below the vents, and then some of that would actually wrap around the side, so there'd be some flowers on the side. So just an example of what we could put on that box to tie it in. These are all flowers and such from various pieces that Cass has done that I just collaged and tried to make a background that kind of matched what was already there.
But you want to give an installer, heartburn, you give them a box like that with all those vents and stuff on it, and they won't be particularly happy.
Yeah.
So we've shown this to Cass, and she was submitting some additional ideas for it. And then we've kind of reiterated with her about the vent cuts. So we want to, consult the artist, especially since it's Cass and we know her. We will figure out something or look at another option for that box, but as of this morning, she's still looking at options. She sent over a couple of pieces, but one of them was very face heavy, so it was going to be that same situation of having the vent cuts over the face area, but we'll work it out. She's still working on it.
Okay, so I guess it's safe to say that as far as actual installations, that doing the box to the right on the Sarah one will be one of the next ones we do, and then we should decide on one or two others. Now, the box that I showed you that was at the park that we put Mr. Smiley's art on, or that I had an example of, I'm not even certain who owns that, to be honest. I couldn't tell from the box. I went through on a cold, windy day and took pictures, and just walking through. I didn't examine it very well, so I'm not certain who owns that box. I don't think it's Rocky Mountain Power, so I don't know if it's a city box or what. But I think this would be a good box that as the temperatures warm up and people start to use the park more, that they'll see this box. So this would be pretty visible. But
Hey, this is Adam. I got the last end of the beginning in terms of, did you say that we've exhausted all the Arts District boxes?
well, not that we've exhausted, or there's not many in there to begin with, and we've already put up on the two that are the most visible. The one there on the east side of the Sarah, and then the one on the corner at 800 South and 400 East. Those were the two most visible ones. All the rest are a little bit more obscure.
There's one on 4th South and Orem Boulevard. I wondered if we could look at.
Does the Arts Center extend to Orem Boulevard? The Arts District, I mean? I don't know.
My understanding is that they extended
It
it.
does.
Okay, then
I also talked to Stephen Downs about, like what if we did the doors in those bright blue doors in the white buildings, or, just other areas that weren't necessarily utility boxes that could convey art. And there was some definite enthusiasm to see people, like get creative in that, particularly because it's the Arts District in that park. And so there is more to talk about over there, I think, as well.
That would be fun, like the big pavilion, like the restroom doors and that kind of thing.
There's some bright blue doors that you wouldn't want it to be like, I think you would want the art pieces to kind of like work together, so it wouldn't be too incongruous to look at. But we recognize that the Arts District will have to, maybe do more than boxes to make the impact that we would maybe want to have over there. So it's just something that we talked about recently, but we can talk to parks or talk to facilities and do a little more legwork on that to see if there's a way to kind of keep pumping up the volume in that park beyond boxes, just because there's not a ton.
That's a great idea, and I guess that would be my only suggestion or input. Not that I have anything against City Center Park or any of these others that we've identified, they should be done eventually too. But I think while we have these resources and we've already started in the geographical area, we should do everything we can in that area and make a real impact for those that walk around the trails and do that kind of stuff. And before we move to another area, just one seems more of a focus, approach to me. But anyway, that's my only input.
I'm looking at that box. I'm on Google View here, Street View, and looking at that box on Orem Boulevard and 8 South, and it looks like, we could wrap the west, north, and south sides of that. The east side of that box is pretty,
Do you want to share your screen, John? I stopped sharing in case you need to do that.
Well, why don't we have Barry share his, so we can see what he's talking about there?
well, I'm on a different computer.
Oh,
I could pull it up. I'm on my desktop, looking at all this. I'm just looking at that. There is a box there that looks like, that Adam was talking about, that we could wrap 3 sides of it. It's not the one facing Orem Boulevard. That's the side that's got handles and vents and panels and things, but the other 3 sides look like it could be done if we want to stay in that arts district, if we wanted to do something in the arts district there.
okay, I'm just trying to quickly get there. See, there's Orem South.
John, have you already looked at the between 4 South and 8 South on State Street?
Yes, and I don't have my papers handy, but I don't recall there really being a box there that stood out very well. So we're looking at Orem Boulevard, as you said, at about 400 South.
8 South, 800 South. It's right on the corner, on the southwest corner of that intersection, 8 South and Orem Boulevard.
There's another one on 4th South and Orem Boulevard.
Oh, you're looking at, let me go screen them straight here.
There's, right on the corner there. It's on the, southeast corner.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find on here an option to switch to switch to street map view.
Southeast corner? Is that behind the fence? There's a wall.
It's in front of CrossFit Rise Again.
Yeah, I don't know how old this picture is, or these pictures are, but there is a box on the east side of the road, and there's a box on the west side of the road. I don't know who owns that box but the one on the west side of the road, it's got.
How do you switch to street view again? I don't.
You drag your little, drag the little yellow guy in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh, there we go. Thanks.
Drag him to where you want.
Okay, so.
And if, I don't know if the rest
Yeah.
of you feel good about the door idea, but I like that too. We can start identifying those in the art district.
Yeah, so that one on 400 and Orem Boulevard, that's probably about 5 feet high and probably close to 5 feet wide. And it has at least 3 good sides. I guess I could try sharing my screen. See if. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the one that Adam's talking about here.
So there's one there, and then if you go across the street to the east, turn the other way, there's one there as well, behind that fence.
Right, or behind here?
Yeah, right there where that signal post is holding the signs.
I see something right there,
Right.
and that, yeah, that's looks to be an Orem signal box.
So we might have a better chance of getting permission to use that one. It's owned by the city?
And I don't know whose this is.
Right.
It doesn't look to be Rocky Mountain Power, because theirs is usually that green. So I wonder maybe if that's a Utopia box. You know, usually they only have one signal box per intersection, right? So I don't think it's another signal box.
Well, it's white, so I think you're right.
I think those are great options, and I wanted to comment on Adam's ideas for the doors. I think all of those things have great merit. The doors, the boxes. I love art in the art district. I think it makes sense. If we need to have a theme or some sort of cohesion between them, that's fine too. Or if we want it to be eclectic and have all kinds of different styles, you know, whatever. I'll leave it to the experts to decide that. But I love the doors idea and these other boxes.
Oops. Yeah, I'm lost now here in I've tried to get back to map view. I don't use Google Maps enough to, there we go. So here's the, we're here. We're talking about doors on these buildings, right?
No, I was talking about the white building with the bright blue doors. It was closer to the smaller parking lot off of State Street. But that's just kind of a cursory, just discussion point that we had because, you know, it's easier to do it on facilities. So not necessarily the pool doors, although everything I guess could be an option. But if you go forward into the park from where you are, there's a white building with some blue doors.
This is in Sarah Park.
Yeah.
So actually in the park.
Yeah, if you go straight in that way, you would be able to see it. I don't know if you can navigate in that way, but.
No, I won't let you go in to that parking lot.
So we can do some more recon. If you guys are ready to open a selection period for, you know, the next few pieces of art, we can do that and bring it back to the Arts Council, or you can set up a smaller committee to select it, whatever you guys would like to do, but we can continue to look at options now, especially that it's getting to be the right weather. I mean, obviously we had really nice weather this spring that was, or late winter, I should say, that was rather unprecedented. So we'll be continuing to work, I think, with that just Sound Vision crew. They did a fine job, and they've always been the best pricing when we've gone out for you know, price comparison. So I think that'd probably be a really good option for us to launch a couple of more with them, and then I can open a period of time to select a few more pieces of art, whether you guys want to, you know, select the next few and work on the rights to use them for the box and for, you know, social media and other kind of advertisement of the art is kind of what the agreement says. We don't own the image, we just own it for specific use. And that's pretty much on the box and for advertisement of the box in the area and stuff like that.
I think that we should open it up and get in a number of pieces, and then we can decide where they best fit once we have permission to use boxes.
Okay, we can open that for the public. I know I have 3 starred emails in my email box from people who want to participate, so I'll make sure they know, and others who've, goodness, my brain is, others who have expressed interest.
I think that's a good idea.
I agree.
And then we'll
We
just
all-
bring,
Can we open that up on our own, or do we need any kind of city approval?
no, we can open it. We can open it and get the selections and then bring them to the Arts Council for review. If there's a whole group review or a specific art review, that's up to you guys.
We should probably specify there that we're looking for door art and box art, just so their orientation on their submissions matches.
Yeah, we could do that and, go out and do some representation of areas that we might be able to use it in.
So do you have a sample document for a request for art that we can start with, or how do we work that out?
I have a contract from the attorney's office, but you just, ask for what we want. So, I can draw one up, but if you're using vinyl, it's more about it's less about the medium than it is about just what kind of art you like and what is suitable for the space. So we can try and represent that is, one of the criteria. Images will be selected based on, a certain criteria. If there are things that you're looking for specifically in the criteria, or I can find language from another type of recruitment.
We probably just need to specify that the length of time that it will be displayed will be solely up to the Orem city.
Okay.
How will we distribute the request?
Social media, I can send out some emails. Janelle Pugmire's looking for stories. You could send them to the student groups, the teachers, you could do all that, but I think we're not going to be selecting 100 pieces. We'll be selecting, 10-ish, I would think. But where someone could have already completed the art, it would be pretty easy, I think, for local artists to submit one. They just pick from their portfolio and send it over.
How long do we want the open period to be?
Probably after spring break. I gotta get through, let's see, we could probably open it next week and close it, say like the 26th or 19th of April, either one.
If we did the 26th, that would give approximately a month, 30 days or so. That should be sufficient, I would think.
Yeah, we also need to open the summer concert series applications soon as well, so we can open those.
Are we, as part of the request, are we going to be making any stipulations on whether or not it will be paid? Or, how much, or how we're working that?
It's $400 an image is what we talked about before. The Arts Council wanted to support artists, and You know, we've definitely gotten things for free from really established artists like Kathy and others, but I think that it's always a good thing to pay for art when you can, and while $400 isn't a lot, you also aren't owning the piece of art, you're using the art, so it's a pay for use rather than pay for ownership. But I think $400 is about where we are, because that does give us a little bit of room for the vinyl of the art, and it keeps it to just a relatively good number of $1,000 per box. And I think that where we're not commissioning art, $400 is not a bad fee for the use of a piece. I mean, people always can choose whether or not to participate, but
It does at least recognize that, you know, that we're offering something for the use of their art. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so in a week or so, a request for artwork will be put out. We'll be requesting it on a for use basis to be done in vinyl, and we'll pay each person that's selected $400 for the use of the art on a vinyl box or door for a unspecified amount. Is that right?
Now, do we want to create a little subcommittee here of those that would actually look at the art and approve it? You know, knowing my strengths and weaknesses, I would exclude myself from that. But do we want to do that? Somebody can look at the art and say, this is what we want, or I guess we could bring it to the whole committee and say, do we like this? But I would trust those that have artistic ability, you know, Cassie or Cindy and or others that Nate and those that could do that.
I think there'd be a problem with doing it to the whole committee. Not everyone's looking at that.
Okay.
Do we, as an arts council, need to just officially say that whatever that subcommittee decides is good, and we don't have to take any other votes on it anywhere else? Is that, or is there any other approvals that we need? Or can the subcommittee just make that and we move forward? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I think it would depend on how many you have. If you had a subcommittee, they could narrow it down to some, and then the committee could vote on it finally. But if we don't have that many, then I think everybody could probably look at it.
I think from a community standpoint, you know, the community leadership always values the expertise of the Arts Council, but I mean, I couldn't say that somebody wouldn't weigh in on something at some point. I mean, I'm not trying to set up that system, but I'm just saying you might want to recognize that it could happen. I don't see it happening, but someone could suggest something different.
I think from city council's standpoint, I think we would take the recommendations of the art council, because many of you like Cindy or Cassie are actual, you know, artists, and you're going to, I'm assuming, give us really good options. So I think the subcommittee could narrow it if there's tons of entries, and if not, then I think you guys all have enough background and skill, and maybe we weigh Cindy and someone like Cassie, even if she's on a committee, their opinion a little bit more, just because they're trained artists. I don't know. I think, and Adam, I think he knows a lot, and I don't know. I'm just saying, I think we trust your judgment.
Okay, well, then let's at least, so keep going back and forth. So are we wanting to form a subcommittee, or we want to bring the pieces up? We're only talking about a dozen pieces, right? Do we want to?
should probably have a subcommittee to do, as Cindy said, to narrow down
Okay.
all the pieces that we might get from the request.
All right, well then, who wants to volunteer to be on that subcommittee? Cindy, that would be good, and, anybody else?
Can we volunteer people that aren't here? I'm bad with names. Who's the gentleman that's the high school teacher?
Oh, Bart, Francis. he'd be
Yeah,
good.
Mark Francis.
Bart would be great.
We need to talk to Bart and see if he's still got time for the art council and we
Well,
can do that. but-
I'm sure he'd find time to help us on the subcommittee.
So, Cindy, do you want to reach out to Bart and maybe we
I
can
will.
have you two kind of narrow down the pieces?
And we'll get Cassie too.
Yeah,
We'll
get
just get Cassie and the three of us can kind of narrow it down. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
And then
All
I
right.
have some that I would donate.
Well, we
If you want.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Well, okay, well, why don't we move to our next piece, which is the summer concert series. I guess, Charlotte, one thing that I need to ask is, are we doing, now that Orem has said we're doing Summerfest, do we have a responsibility with the stage for Summerfest this year?
They are doing Summerfest. The challenge that we kind of had with Summerfest is they would like the Arts Council to program the stage, but the community would like to have little kids on the stage and other things. So it isn't that we want to water down the programming. It's that we went to a model of, we're not going to pay for Summerfest acts. We're going to go to the community. And so I can't even remember how we selected them 2 years ago, but we will advertise for that and select them. But then they also added in some activities for like kids, like the Scales and Tails on the stage. And so I think it was just a much smaller kind of selection effort, not to waste everybody's time, because we were trying to pencil it out because we had to work around the programming on the stage and then weed out all the people who thought this was a big payment audience kind of thing. So we just had a smaller group, and I can't remember if Nancy and I just did it or exactly what we did, but I don't know that it takes a big group, because if we advertise a super comprehensive advertisement, everyone thinks you're paying.
Right.
And we want a good advertisement for the summer concert series, but we decided not to pay for the Summerfest because we use a lot of groups that bring their audience with them, whether it's youth bringing parents with them, or like some of the more cultural celebrations, they're attached to a church or another community organization and they bring a good audience with them. So it's just been a little bit of a different approach for Summerfest than having a big recruitment, because we always end up moving the most of those recruited into the summer concert series area because they would like a little stipend for their time.
So do you still need us to then man the stage as far as host the concert, the Summerfest stage, as far as announce and as we've done in the past?
I think it's always nice if you guys can do that. We always appreciate it. I know it is tricky, but we appreciate it when you guys can do that.
All right. Well, I'm sure that we can talk about that. We're meeting again in May before Summerfest. Is Summerfest still in June? Did they move it? Still in June.
It's in
June
June,
7th to 12th.
pending the Utah County permit, which we think we'll get. We don't know exactly what it'll look like, social distancing, but we're moving ahead.
Yeah, I know, but nobody can write anything in pen these days. It's tough. All right, within the summer concert series, let's discuss that. That's next on our agenda. Do we have a committee that is selecting that, or Shar, do we just have people that have done it in the past that we invite, or are we opening that up, or?
Last year, we invited friends of, like Dave knew some and Nancy knew some, and we did that because we just didn't know with COVID if we would have to pull the plug like after the first one, or if there would be a dust up over it. But honestly, last year I went to, I think, every single one, and I felt like people were very, very cordial about keeping social distance between different household groups. I felt like everyone was very pleasant. I felt like people enjoyed it. So there was never a concern raised by anyone at the county level or the city level. We did try to follow the county's rules and track attendance for COVID, but nobody ever needed to, consult us about that list. Nobody ever called and said, hey, I was at the summer concert series and I had COVID today and I didn't yesterday. So I thought it was very safe regarding the exposure for COVID. So I think we just go ahead with what we did in the past, and we will now probably just post signage saying, please be aware of, COVID. Don't show up if you have these symptoms. I think that's kind of the signage that I'm getting from just reading the updated regulations, is that people kind of need to assess their own risk in any situation. But I felt like the stage was a very low risk activity, and I heard a lot of thank you for doing this, we just needed something to do, and so I think people appreciated it a lot last year, and I know many of you went and hosted and attended, and I didn't hear any backlash last year from anything personally. But
No, there's plenty of space there for people to just space out, and I heard, all I got were positive things on it as well. People are just happy to be able to get out and go do something.
So I think we should recruit for a selection this year. Last year we kept it to more of a friends and connected group, just in case we had to pull the plug, because Dave and Nancy had a feeling that, yeah, this group would do it for us and they would stand down if we told them that we can't do it. So we didn't do a recruitment last year because everything was so unknown, but we could certainly recruit a number of applications and go through those again this year. I think it'd be perfectly fine.
Is that payment still about $400? Is that what we're paying them?
Yeah, it's not a huge amount, but people, they appreciate having it for a little bit of gas money for the people involved, or if they had to rent a piece of equipment or something like that. I think we can still have the same great sound technician that we've had in the past. Gray Adams is someone that Dave connected us with, and Gray's moving to Utah County, so I think he's going to still be able to do it. He was a super champ last year. He even did Orem's Got Talent for us, which was really nice. They're going to still do Orem's Got Talent as part of the big Summerfest headliner, for lack of a better word, because it's been well received. But we have some funding that we can use for sound during the Summerfest, and we can talk to Gray about his interest in doing that or hiring an outside group. But I think it's just he's really good at the groups, and Nathan filled in for us on one of the weeks that Gray couldn't be there last year, and we appreciate that. But I think that we can get Gray to work with us again this year.
Well, then why don't we proceed there? Do you have, where do you put out that call for act?
Most of it is through social media, quite honestly, and then people share and other things. We can always do a paid bump on a social media if we feel like we need to do that. Geezer Fest is traditionally the last concert of the summer. Geezer Fest has had some leadership changes or questions, and so the city's had to go to kind of a request for proposal from multiple groups to determine how to fairly have that concert opportunity where it's seeking people from the community to enjoy some time on the stage. That's an unfortunate thing that we're not involved in. That's something between those who have been involved in Geezer Fest in the past. So I don't know exactly who will be putting on an end of summer concert that might involve an opportunity for people to play on the stage that it has normally been. I think the city's been comfortable with what the event was, but until they get all of the parties sorted out, we don't actually know who's doing it yet, but
Well, I think last year they, you could put out a social media post and we could all share it on our social media to try to get the word out. I mean, there's a way we can try to reach the most people.
if there's groups that you guys like, we're happy to reach out to them and invite them to apply. If we don't get the groups that we like in the application period, we've kind of picked each other's brains to decide. Last year we came up with one from like a poll of best bands, and that group was so fun. People loved that group. They loved them. So you just never know where you come up with them, but however you find them works for the grant. We haven't heard much from the state of Utah on the grant, but every time I've talked to the city manager about, hey, I need to have an idea of whether I have money to backstop this summer concert series. If I don't have the grant, he's always been willing to backstop it, and then we proceed with the grant as usual. And so I don't think there will be a problem. There won't be a problem securing some funding. I don't think there will be a problem with the grant funding. So we'll kind of see how that plays out with the state, but.
Okay, and again, I think we'll have opportunities to, as members of the council, to host those concert series, the individual concerts.
I volunteer.
That was great.
Otherwise, Charlene has to do it. She goes up there and does it herself, so we'll, we can jump in and help there. Anything else on the concert series? Next one is library hall tours. I saw in the email from Sharon that next Tuesday they have some time set aside for the Orem Arts Council to take a tour of the library, of the hall there. So would you be our guide, Charlene?
Anytime.
It's a nice hall.
Punch list items are the worst. They're still out doing some punch list items today, but that's construction in Utah right now. So, but yeah, anytime.
So if we want to come through, do we just show up during those times, or do we make an appointment, or?
You can come on Tuesday from 11 to 12:30, and I just set that time aside on my calendar. Or I can give you my cell number, and you can just text and see if I'm over here. I am off next Thursday and Friday. It's our kids' spring break. We have a college kid in another state, and their spring break is just off of Alpine School District spring break. So we're going to try and see them the end of the week. But there's generally people here, but I'm happy to take any time.
Okay. Is there anything you need from this council as far as the library hall?
Not yet. We're just getting our feet wet on it, and excited to have the opportunity to use it. But thank you.
Okay. Is there anything?
I do have a question. With the Bonner family next week, is that open to the public, or is that limited numbers of people, Charlene?
It's limited. They've already done the Eventbrite tickets on it. So we're gonna learn more about the theater business and how we do that during COVID. Maybe Adam and Cody could teach a class, so just start limited on that one and try and expand as we go through. We advertised it before the moderate, so it's kind of in place. But.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
Is it sold out?
Yes, we had quite a waiting list, and so it's a smaller audience, but it did sell out pretty quick. But we're gonna stream it as well.
Well, we're just happy that there's live theater available in Orem. We've got our tickets for Spamalot. We're interested to see how that's edited.
It's the high school version.
Oh, well, we saw the opening cast on Broadway, and that was quite a thing. Anyway, not to bring that into. Is there anything else that we need to discuss today?
I have something.
Okay.
Just recently, the Barbershop Harmony Society has produced a bundle that includes a songbook of love songs called the Serenade Songbook that includes 5 songs that barbershoppers can learn. This bundle includes unlimited copies of the music, the sheet music, and unlimited copies of learning tracks. These learning tracks are professionally done. So on the driver's side, you have your part, and the other 3 parts are on the passenger side, so you can change your balance to learn your part and then be able to sing it against the other 3. This is a really great bundle for a singing community or a chorus. It's $200, but it's in perpetuity. You can do like a yearly event. So I was proposing to the Arts Council that we do a serenade sing-along at the beginning of February. It'd be a $200 initial cost, and every year we can print new copies or send out copies of the PDF file that we'll get, and be able to direct people to a digital download of these learning tracks. It's a small initial investment, fairly small, but I verified with the Barbershop Harmony Society. They produce and copyright the songbook, and they also have the copyright on the learning tracks, and they'll just give it forever. We'll be able to make copies. If we could use the library hall for this next February, that would be an awesome community gathering. It's kind of like a Messiah sing-in, but you would be working from this love song serenade book. Silence.
I think it sounds fun. That sounds fun.
I think maybe what you ought to do is write something up, a proposal, and then we can discuss it in a later time and see if we can, if that's something that the Arts Council wants to sponsor or use funds on. But it sounds like something different, so we'll get people together.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about physical art, and we do have the summer concert series that gives audio art, but we don't have anything really in kind of the winterish months. So early February or late January would be a good spot for this. And then I see this bundle come up, and it's like, hey.
Well,
So yeah, I'll write up a report or a proposal, and of course, we probably want to make sure that it's a good that the word gets out.
okay. Is there anything else that we need to discuss before we bring this meeting to a close? And if not, do we have a proposal?
Move that we adjourn.
I second.
Okay, there's a third. Well, thank you, and we meet again in May, and I'm sure you'll have lots to talk about Summerfest and concert series and follow up on the block. So we'll see you in May.